Good morning. I am making a salute to Matthew David Hurtado on behalf of his workshops and the change that has continued to take place in my life. I'm Sylvia and I am from Corn City, Texas, and I knew my video would be a little different because I've always sought out wisdom. I met Matthew and Sabrina a few years ago when I started purchasing their supplements, and about a year ago, I would say maybe a little over a year ago, October, November of 2017, I was in a car accident, in a severe car accident in which my car was totaled and like completely total crashed in, and I survived. Well, it took me 6 months total of being bedridden, in which the first 3 months were extremely critical, and that is when I made the decision to heal from a functional medicine naturally, and I picked up Matthew David Hurtado's book, Allow. I had it already. Hi, sweetheart. And I had it already, and I knew if I was going to get through this car accident in a positive manner, I was going to have to take the highest road in the path of least resistance, which at that time the path of least resistance was for me not to focus on being in bed, for me not to focus on being unable to move, and for me to focus on what I already knew to be true. So what I already knew to be true, Matthew had it in his book, Allow, and that was the ABC process. So I continued to heal, and I did very well, and I met with my doctor, and my husband went and picked up my nutraceuticals, and before I knew it, I was doing well, and every day I was doing better and better, and that's one of his quotes that I got from his book. Every day I'm doing better and better. I'm doing better and better. And those simple words helped me to get through to the other side of what I knew was already there. So the trick was, I knew I could not believe my lying eyes. And I love when Matthew said in his book, Allow, your life sucks because you suck. And I don't know why, but that just resonated so much with me, and it stuck with me. And the whole time I was like, okay, so I suck because my life doesn't suck, I suck. So I know a lot of people maybe can't resonate with that, but I did, and I started to use his Allow, in which I was already doing a form, but he fine-tuned it for me. So Matthew fine-tuned so many things that I was already doing into that preciseness to get unstuck and to get to the next level. So I called Sabrina, and I found out when they mentioned their first workshop, I called Sabrina and I said I would like to go. So we were like, okay, well, we're on board, I'm gonna go. But by now it was about, I had just started walking again, and I knew by the time the workshop got here that I would be well enough to go. So the workshop was 1 week away, and I was well enough to go. I wasn't 100%, hi sweetheart, recovered yet, but I was well enough to go. And then what happened then was, it was a week before that very first workshop, the one where 12 people went, when they call it 12 disciples. Anyway, so as that came around, I was happy because I was like, all right, I recovered from this accident. Things can't possibly get any worse. Well, something did happen, and a week before the workshop, my husband transitioned from one day to the next in a car in a head-on collision, and I wasn't able to go to that very first workshop. So I ended up going to my husband's funeral, and coming out of the funeral, automatically I was still feeling the loss of not going to the workshop. So Sabrina calls me, tells me, well, we have a second workshop coming up. You can go to that one. And I said, definitely, sign me up. So that's what happened. I signed up for the second one because, again, I'm searching for wisdom. And now that my spouse is gone, I was searching for healing. So I needed healing. So I went to the second workshop, and I wore sunglasses the whole time. And I cried the whole time, and I healed. And we did an exercise where we were able to do carbon to carbon to carbon. And when we did that, I did a lot of releasing, and I did a lot of healing, and found myself in a better place than when I went over there. So that being said, going to that workshop was pretty hard on me, because financially it took its toll, but at the same time I knew it had to be done. It wasn't an option, it was a necessity. And me and my girls traveled 20 miles. We took a journey, 3 little women. We took a journey from Carson City, Texas, 20 hours away, to Madison, Wisconsin. And we had a really great time on our journey, in which many things happened to transpired again, one thing after another, that could have easily turned me around. Let's just go back home. But it didn't, and we continued our journey. And we got over there. I so embraced myself in that workshop, and I didn't talk a lot to people, but the amazing thing was that I felt so much love. And nobody knew, except for maybe the people that I sat by. Nobody knew why I was there. Nobody knew I was mourning my spouse. Not until, I believe, the 3rd day. So everyone has their story, and nobody knows anyone else's story. And my thing was that I wanted to survive me through losing my spouse. So I've had many lessons in life, and this one was just one of another lesson. You know, it was just another lesson. It was a pretty big lesson in my eyes, but I also learned that not to always believe your lying eyes, because things are only as big as you want them to be, and your struggle is only as hard as you make it. So that being said, came back home, continued to do my work, continued to be mentored by Matthew, in which I was able to start Conscious Morning. The very next day when I got back, Hay House gave me a book offer. So I am writing a book right now. It's a year's journey, so it won't be done till 5 more months, I think. But I write in that book almost daily, for sure weekly. And I started making morning cards. I started mentoring people, helping people. I started giving of myself, and I stopped focusing on my loss. And there was times that the pain was so deep that you wonder, how can you not focus on it? But that's just it. When that pain hit me so deep that I felt like I was going to die myself, I went within. I used the tools. I took every single tool out of my toolbox, and I got myself up and out. I did something about it, and I changed my current reality. So I would be crying and crying and crying, and I would set my timer, and I would say, okay girl, you've got, hi sweetheart, you've got 10 minutes. You can cry for 10 minutes, but after that you're going to get up, you're going to get going, and you're going to do something. So I would set my timer, I'd cry for 10 minutes, because I just knew I didn't want to stay stuck. And that's a choice that I made. And I know that a lot of people will not understand this because they're not there. But I made the choice that I was going to mourn consciously. I was aware of every action I was taking. I'm sorry. I was aware of my actions, and now I had the tools. So I had my tools defined for me. I was doing already everything Matthew taught me, but now I was doing it in a way that I could get myself completely out of being stuck. So what would take me all day to get out of now took me an hour to get out of, because I knew while I was in this saddened state, I couldn't reach the solution that I was searching for from You can't get the solution from the problem. So I had to change my consciousness. And that was my wisdom. The wisdom from the workshop was changing my level of consciousness, and where I could help people and get out of myself. And I think that was one of my biggest successes, was that I was able to get out of myself and start helping people. And people just started coming left and right to me. And I was like, well, what do I have to give? You know, I'm barely going through this. But I was already in it at 3 months, and people would lose someone, so they were barely beginning their journey that I could understand. And anyway, so I digress a little bit. So that is what happened. I came back. I did the work. I put the work in, and I refused to let life victimize me. So when I went to that second workshop, I like I just mentioned, I now have money coming in, which I didn't. I just knew everything was always there for me. Everything, like health, just everything. And I didn't specifically ask for money because I didn't care about money. I wanted wisdom and I wanted healing, and I got those two things. So then when I went back to that second workshop, I was more healed. It'd been 6 months since my spouse transitioned, and you've got to understand that I chose to know that I am not the mind and I am not the body. I chose to know that everything Matthew had to teach me was taking me to the next level of my own growth, of my own soul's expansion. And I did know that. So when I went to this past workshop, and so many things had already shifted for me. My heart healed. My income was who knows how much it increased, because I had nothing. Basically, I'm going from 0 to 5,000 a month. I've started an online Shopify positive shirt business, because I just love having that positive message out there. So I was able to do that, and so much, like the things that I was able to do just blows my mind. And I'm just like, wow, I did not know I could do all that. But you know what? I didn't do all that. It was a divinity within me that did it, and that came surface because I allowed it to surface. Anyhow, so then when I started Conscious Morning, I gave a challenge in which nobody showed up. I did it anyways. After the challenge, someone asked me if I could continue doing videos. They really enjoyed it, and I go, okay, well, I didn't think anyone was looking. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So I started the self-sabotage lessons. When I started those self-sabotage lessons, I had 2 followers, which was my brother, and then I had some man as Frank G. Lopez. I didn't know him. All I knew was that he was supporting me, and I was like, wow, how sweet. I don't even know this person, and here he is supporting me on this journey. Okay, so long story short, I'm going to take you to that second workshop. Second workshop, I'm sitting across the room from this man, and I start to feel this energy. And the only other time I ever felt that energy was from my own spouse of 28 years. So my spouse and I were together 28 years, and I knew from across the room he would be my soulmate, because I felt that energy. And it's just something that I feel, because I'm very intuitive and an empath anyway. So I just knew he was going to be my life partner, and for 28 years we were life partners. And then I go to this workshop, and after, and I know this isn't important, but I have to kind of make a comparison. After being asked out time and time again, and not being interested, having no feelings whatsoever for another man, I started to think, well, you know, perhaps I'll just be single until I meet Paul again in heaven. I don't know. But I will tell you that I started a manifestation after that first workshop to meeting my next soulmate, and saying that, I didn't feel it, but I repeated it, and I repeated it often enough that I guess the universe heard me, obviously. So when I go to that second workshop, I start to feel this energy for this person, for this man, and I didn't really understand it. So I was like, okay, I don't know, kind of just ignored it, and I thought, well, it's just female hormones or whatever. But then I knew it wasn't, because I've never dated. My husband was my first and boyfriend, everything. I didn't need to date. I knew already. So then, being at the workshop, I start to feel these same feelings. I'm getting to the point, I'm sorry. And later on, I end up meeting this man, and it turns out his name is Frank G. Lopez. Well, guess what? My second follower. The guy who was supporting me on my journey, and I did not know he was going to be there. He did not know I was going to be there. So throughout those few days, I started to get shifts, miracle after miracle. Because you have to understand, never having dated and now being in a position where you can, but you don't want to. I've always known what I wanted, and I had no desire to enter the dating scene. Don't know why. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, so long story short, we ended up leaving the workshop. Frank and I are going steady, and we have been together for about going on a month on the 13th, and it's so exciting. He came down on Thanksgiving. We got to know each other. Of course, we'd been talking on the phone and Messenger prior to that, and prior to going to the workshop, I'd only seen his comments on my website. But let me tell you, he has his own side of the miracle, which I'm not going to share. That's for him to share, of the miracle of how he ended up coming to my channel. So it's just so amazing how when you're in the right consciousness, everything starts to fall into place. So here I am. Frank and I have signed up for the next workshop together, and we're just truly enjoying each other's presence and love. And even though we're thousands of miles away, or 2,200, something like that, on car, a few hours on plane, but it feels like we're just right here connected. And it's so amazing, because when you meet that right person, there's just a knowing in you that you just know everything's going to be fine. And it doesn't matter how far apart you are, you just know that everything's going to be fine. So that being said, we are excited to go to the next workshop, and just to continue to do what we do. So now we both support each other in doing the tools, and doing the tools that we learned at Matthew David Hurtado's. We support each other. We were like little school children. So in the beginning, we talked so much on the phone, where we had to set our boundaries, because you know, women, we can talk like all the time, and then when you start to miss your love, you want to talk all the time. But you know, people have to have their space to do what they need to do, and I have to do what I have to do. He has to do what he has to do, because we're both building businesses from the ground up, and we're both also making a living at the same time. So it's all truly exciting. I'm super grateful to Matthew and Sabrina for their workshops, which are amazing. And I'm grateful to Sabrina for all her magical, wonderful thinking, and just a spectacular person that she brings to Matthew's workshops. So I don't know if I left anything out, but there you go. There you got it. If you think you're wasting your money, you're not wasting your money, because material things can always be replaced. And I only bring that up because I had someone tell me, well, you could be doing something better with your money, and I'm like, no, I couldn't. There's no way you could do any better than wisdom for your money. So enjoying kindness. You guys have a great day, and this is my salute. and also a little bit of my testimony from Matthew David's workshop, from his book Allow, and also his book Ask Until It Is Given. So, enjoy in kindness. Thank you.